Scientists and medical experts agree that the average human utilizes only 5 to 10% of brain capacity. This small percentage controls all of our voluntary and involuntary functions, including physical motor movement, sight, hearing, smell, touch, thought, and speech. That leaves us with 90% of our brain that is basically unused by conscious thought. What happens with that 90% of our brain that we do not use? It is the belief of David John Oates that we do in fact use some portion of this part of our brain. David John Oates is the discoverer of reverse speech. He believes that reverse speech is another form of human communication that is automatically generated by the human brain. It occurs every time we speak and is embedded backwards into the sounds of our speech. Mr. Oates is the author of a book, The Voice of the Unconscious. He speaks nationally about the impact of reverse speech, has developed a reversing machine that plays backwards, and is the founder of Reverse Speech Enterprises. This video is volume 1 of a 4-part interview series that sheds a convincing light on the validity of reverse speech. The information you're about to see is quite revolutionary, for if it is true, it will make us reevaluate everything that has been or will be recorded. Now, here's David John Oates and me, Lenny McGill, in volume 1 of the incredible phenomenon of reverse speech.
I would assume the first thing most people ask you, well, what is reverse speech in a definition form? Because reverse speech, when one thinks of it, would think of just talking backwards.
Right. Well, it's a lot more than just talking backwards. My whole theory surrounding reverse speech is that reverse speech is another form of human communication that has previously been undiscovered. As the human brain is constructing the sounds of language, it's constructing them in such a way that it's delivering two messages simultaneously. One is forward from the conscious mind,
what we hear, right?
What you're hearing now as I speak now, and the other one is in reverse from the unconscious mind, and that is what you feel. So as the brain is constructing the sounds of language, it's constructing it bilaterally, two at once, one which you hear consciously and the other which you hear unconsciously. And as we are speaking, it is inserting these extra phrases backwards into our speech, normally one phrase every 5 or 10 seconds. So that quite literally, if human speech is recorded and run backwards, you can hear these reversals once every 5 or 10 seconds of language, and they're normally 1 or 2 seconds in length. They consist of 4 or 5 words. They're quite clear. They're quite plain. And it is that extra form of communication that we have all known exists, because we can all feel it every time we engage in conversation, but we've never had a tangible means before to actually know what that is. And we put it down to ESP and intuition, that extra sense.
Well, in a sense, the woman's intuition, would you feel that would be kind of what that is?
Totally what that is. The reverse speech is coming from the right brain hemisphere. Forward speech, the words are formed in the left brain, and reverse speech is formed in the right brain. So the more right brain you are in your conversations, the more frequent speech reversals occur. And women, by their general nature, tend to be more intuitive. They tend to be more into their right brain than what men are. So they perceive this extra form of communication, reverse speech, more than what men do. Hence you get the feeling of, the saying, woman's intuition.
So you basically feel what someone's really saying versus just hearing what they say.
Correct. Well, we are hearing it on an unconscious level. It is unconsciously generated and unconsciously received. And the way most people are not all that in touch with their unconscious mind, and it's those extra feelings. You know, you'll get the heebie-jeebies sometimes. You know, and you get a feeling you don't know what it is. I know there's more to what he's saying, or I can just feel that person's not being honest. Where does that feeling come from? I mean, is it a transient thing out there that we can't touch? No, it's not. It is an actual separate human sense, a natural function of the mind that can be documented. So what my research does is it is it looks at all these weird feelings that we had previously put off as psychic or the unknown and said, this is what it is. We can actually track it and prove that it is real.
So it's really a form of communication that we all take part in. We all do this, right?
Oh, sure. Everyone does it. We have been doing it since we first began to speak. I mean, from as way back, centuries and centuries ago, as language evolved, it evolved bi-levelly, both forward and backward. It is integral. It is built into the whole sounds of our speech. And what I'm saying, too, is not out of keeping with many accepted theories of the human mind. We have known for a long time that the human mind is quite capable of reversing functions. Dyslexia, for example, is a condition where people will sometimes reverse their words. Sight is reversed by the lens in the eyes before it's processed by the human mind. The left and right brain hemispheres are mirror images of each other. The left controls the right side, the right controls the left side. So these crossover reversing functions have been documented for quite some time. So to say it's occurring in language as well is in quite acceptable keeping with other forms of scientific documentation.
Now, before we go much further, maybe we should see or hear an example so that we can kind of understand what you're really talking about.
Okay, so before I play the examples I'm about to play, let me just tell you one of the other basic theories of reverse speech. Okay. Reverse speech is complementary in nature, and by